And we're live, Adam.
Welcome back, everyone. Episode 42 of Kids Deserve It. We hope you've been enjoying our weekly chats with educators and game changers from around the country. Also, don't forget, you can check us out on iTunes.
And if you haven't heard the news yet, our book is still up on Amazon and doing great. So we hope that you check out our book. And if you order it and you just can't wait for it to come in, remember that the Kindle version drops to $2.99 after you've ordered the paperback. And don't forget that you can also get a limited edition Kids Deserve It pink t-shirt in celebration of Breast Cancer Awareness Month next month. And so if you just go to booster.com/KDI pink, we have the typical shirts and women's V-necks on sale.
This week, we got another great guest, but first we want to introduce ourselves. I'm Adam Welcome, Director of Innovation and Technology in the Bay Area, doing today's show from my car.
My name is Todd Nessaloni. I'm an elementary school principal in Navasota, Texas. And our guest this week is Ike. You want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ike Ramos, former teacher, assistant principal, and principal. Now currently a district sales manager for Flocabulary, as well as a content creator for Flocabulary.
Awesome. We want to remind our viewers to participate in social media. We thank everyone for watching every show, and we love seeing what you're learning via the Kids Deserve It hashtag.
So, Ike, we got a few questions for you. So for those who don't know about you, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I grew up in Texas, born and raised in Texas. Went to college at UT Austin, so I'm a I have to throw up my Longhorns. And so I went through college, always kind of, to be honest, kind of struggled with college because I was a musician. So I was a rapper, a producer, a DJ, and somehow I made it through college, and straight out of college became a high school teacher and a high school basketball coach. And so I did that for a few years, and just kind of a whirlwind of events, I ended up becoming a principal. As I was planning on leaving education to pursue music, I had the opportunity to become a principal, and it would just seem, you know, kind of like one of those serendipitous things that happen, and, you know, I had to take advantage and run with it. And I was already super passionate about education, but once I was tasked with, you know, being the leader of a school, I mean, that's something you definitely, as both of you know, can't take lightly. And so I really dug in deeper as an educator, just in terms of solidifying my best practice, my best practices, my knowledge, etc. And so I did that for 6 years, all the while still juggling kind of my own musical passions, and moved out to LA with the charter school network. And so that brought me to Los Angeles. And while I was in Los Angeles, I started creating songs for Flocabulary while I was still in education. And so that's how I kind of linked up with Flocabulary. And for those who aren't familiar, we're specialized in educational hip hop. So it's educational hip hop videos and instructional resources for teachers, K through 12. And so it just happened that, you know, they had a opening for a sales director, and it seemed like the perfect fit, the perfect blend of my two passions, education and music. So that's where I'm at now, and that's kind of my life story in as concise a format as I could keep it.
So Ike, you do some of the raps for Flocabulary. So like if I listen to some of the songs, that'll be you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've done we have almost 800 videos currently, and we had about 3 to 5 every week, but I've done about 40.
That is awesome. I did not realize that. That's so cool.
I'm gonna start beatboxing right now, man. You can throw down some rhymes.
Oh man, I got rhymes for days.
So Ike, what do you think is something that you did either as a teacher or as an administrator that kind of made you stand out?
So I was thinking about this, and just thinking about you know, today's interview and chat, and I was kind of thinking in terms of two things, like what type of advice would I leave teachers and what type of advice would I leave administrators. And just thinking back to something I did as an administrator, and I was kind of forced to, because I was kind of pushed into an administrative position, you know, maybe prior to having the type of teaching experience that I would recommend for somebody going into admin. But because of that, you know, I had to take a humble stance and ask a lot of questions. And so where I think, you know, just leadership personality, sometimes we want to do things the way that we want to. We have our own ideas. A lot of times you know, people in, you know, these type of positions can be very strong-willed, which is great. But one thing we always have to remind ourselves as leaders is to ask questions and learn from others who are already doing it well. And so I was 25 when I became a principal. And so I was definitely wet behind the ears, but I found the 2 best teachers on my campus. And, you know, I went through a crash course on what it really, really meant to be a great teacher. And, you know, I was successful as a classroom teacher, but I knew enough to know that there were people out there that were way better than I was. And so I spent a lot of time in their classrooms just observing and making sense of the things that they were doing that worked really well. And then I reached out to other principals. That's something a lot of times we don't do. It's a little bit easier now with social media, but even, you know, even 5-10 years ago, it wasn't as prominent. So I would, you know, call up principals in neighboring districts, ask if I could come hang out, observe, you know, walk their campuses with them. And so I really kind of put myself, to back to your original question, just in a position of always seeking to learn. And I think that let me have success without having to go through as many hardships as I probably should have gone through given my age and, you know, lack of experience in some areas.
Nice. So we'll talk about learning and growth. You know, I love what you're touching on. What has been the hardest part for you about being in education, Ike?
Patience. We're steering big ships. You know, it's like trying to steer the Titanic, especially when you factor in, you know, poverty and social justice issues and, you know, funding issues. And I'm so passionate about it that at times it was like difficult for me to celebrate the wins, the small wins. But I think that's super important in terms of like keeping your staff motivated and keeping the energy and the determination to move forward, you know, in the good fight. You got to celebrate the you know, the victories along the way and let others know that they're doing a great job. And so that was kind of something that took me some time at the beginning. You know, I was kind of, even though I was super young, I was very like no nonsense and, you know, very kind of almost rigid at times. But I learned, you know, from my teachers, from kids, from families to, you know, the importance of celebrating the things that we're doing well while still staying focused on, you know, where we could grow.
Right. So, like, what was school like for you growing up?
I was a pretty good student, but I think, again, just in kind of reminiscing today in preparation for this, I think my parents played a super important role in that. And just always saying, oh, you know, you're smart, you can do this, and when you get older, you're going to be this or you're going to be that, and make sure you pay attention in school and, you know, focus and, you know, pay attention to kids who are doing well. They specifically said that. Watch those who are doing well. Right. And so, and I think they gave the best advice they could, you know, at the time. I mean, they're both, you know, smart individuals and, you know, good at the things they do, but they weren't afforded the opportunity to, you know, to go to an undergrad or university and finish with the undergrad. So not having that experience, they didn't necessarily coach me on, you know, being college ready and some of these terms that we throw around now. But they emphasize, you know, some basic things that are super important, and that, you know, hard work, determination, learning from others who are doing it well. And so that having those type of parents made, you know, for a pretty successful, you know, experience growing up in terms of my own schooling.
Right.
So, Ike, if you had one wish for education, what would it be?
Oh, man. It sounds generic, but it really is just equity for all students, you know, regardless of, you know, demographics or basically regardless of demographics, just equity for all students. And by that, I mean like high quality teachers, high quality resources, access to opportunities. That's just something I feel like all kids deserve.
Right.
And so that would be my wish, definitely, for education.
So
nice.
When you're
We'll
having
that one.
when you're having some of those rough, tough to get out of bed days, what do you kind of do to kick yourself into gear and still kill it?
It's not about us. It's about the kids. It's about the future. And if you're a principal or in a position of leadership, it's about the people who are on the front lines doing the work. Sometimes I remember as an admin, you could feel so overwhelmed, thinking I have all this to do. I have paperwork, emails, but it's important to always remember the teachers on the front line and the kids and the families that we serve.
Right.
So just simple things, keeping them in mind. It's not anything, no special trick. It's just, even if it's a couple minutes before you start your day, you're having your first coffee, just even if you're, ADD like myself, take time to write it down. Like who are some of the kids that, you're excited to be serving, and, what are some of the things you can foresee them doing with their future if, they stay on the right path, and just kind of remembering the basics, who we serve and the people who are serving alongside of us.
Nice. So what are some of your goals for this next year?
Just professionally, just bringing flocabulary to, as many schools as possible. I wouldn't have left. I'm so passionate about education. I wouldn't have left, school leadership if it wasn't a resource that I truly believed in terms of its ability to impact others. So especially, the companies in New York. So on the West Coast, people are not as familiar, with flocabulary. So just spreading the word and talking with educators about how they can use it to benefit their students, but also asking educators what we can do to make it even better for them.
Right.
Nice.
Well, on a side note, one thing that I've absolutely loved about flocabulary is I've been a part of a lot of ed camps, organizing and helping organize, and flocabulary has always been one of the best supportive organizations out there to provide door prizes and resources and things to teachers. And we have a couple of our teachers that absolutely love using it in the classroom as well. With our student population, they enjoy the music so much and using it to learn. No,
that's great to hear. And one thing I also love about flocabulary is that it doesn't, hip hop is a global phenomenon. So now it even transcends, like, I've worked in rural, urban, public, charter. So I've pretty much worked in all of the different kind of scenarios you can as an educator. And one thing I've always found is like music, and not even flocabulary itself, but just music in general is kind of like this underlying thread that kind of weaves everybody together. Everybody loves a good song. Everybody likes movement in the classroom, or, a mnemonic device that could make learning, rigorous material easier. We use hip hop specifically because it's, the most popular genre, especially for today's kids. It really transcends like race and gender and class.
I've been talking to Todd about a KidsDeserveit song or a rap. We should talk offline, Ike, see if we can put something together. That would be
yeah,
fun.
because I'm not doing any kind of rap or singing or nothing. That is not in my wheelhouse.
Absolutely. It's kind of sharing somewhat of a secret, but I won't say who, but we have worked with some districts to put their 5-year strategic plans into song format, and just doing some things like that, because we have a team of professional curriculum specialists and educators, and then we have a team of professional musicians and rappers and people who have toured with famous artists and things like that. So we just really started thinking like pretty much any content that's out there, we do math, science, social studies, ELA, etc., but anything can be put into a song. And that's what's awesome. The Kids Deserve It mission could be put into a song. The goals of a district can be put into a song. And it's just a way of connecting people. First of all, just music wise, it makes it easier to remember, but second of all, kind of, I think it creates a sense of pride, a sense of like connection, between everybody who hears it,
Yep.
You could ride to work jamming the Kids Deserve It anthem.
There we go. So
hey,
Ike,
I'm gonna send you a message, Ike.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every week we like our guests to leave a challenge for our viewers. What would your challenge be for our viewers this week?
I challenge all teachers to bring the arts into the classroom. So I know I'm with flocabulary now, so I don't want to harp on vocabulary, but anything related to the arts, I challenge you to incorporate those interests into your lesson plans this week. And if you want an easy one, have your students write a song. You know, that would be wonderful. Share them online with us. Hashtag KidsDeserveit, hashtag vocabulary. And if you need a tool to help you, Vocabulary actually launched something called the Lyric Lab that has like a built-in rhyme generator, beats that students can download for free. So if you need assistance, you know, you can definitely use that tool, but I challenge you to just incorporate the arts into your lesson plans this week, whether it's having kids draw or write a song or do whatever. It's, again, as sometimes we get so caught up in our work that we forget best practices. You know, we get caught up in seeing what the district assigned lesson plan is or what's in our scope and sequence that we forget to do things that we know are best for kids. And it's, you know, it's important to kind of step back frequently and see, like, what have I abandoned that I know really works well for kids? And incorporating the arts is something that is research-based and that we know leads to higher engagement and higher achievement. So that's my challenge. Incorporate the arts in your lessons this week.
Awesome.
I like it. Hey man, Ike, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. We really appreciate it. Everybody out there, don't forget, tweet us at KidsDeserveit and also hashtag KidsDeserveit this week. And tune in next week. We'll have another great show as well. Thanks again, Ike. Have a great week, man.
And actually, our guest is tomorrow. We're doing a special episode of Kids Deserve It with the LaVon Roth. So check it out tomorrow. We'll be doing a special episode. But thanks again, Ike. Really appreciate it.
Awesome. Take care. Thanks for having me.